Welcome to today's exploration. We're going to be looking at the number 10 in the suit of swords in the Rider Waite Smith Tarot. In the Osho Zen Tarot, it is called the 10 in the suit of clouds. And in the Sacred She Tarot, it is the gray color at the bottom of the card that denotes the suit of air. These cards are designating rebirth in a way, as stated here on the Osho Zen, but they're also dealing with painful realities that are needing to be brought to the forefront in order for one to be able to move on. And in the case of the Rider Waite Smith deck, we see a figure lying on the ground. There is absolute termination of movement. There is no turning away from the fact that something is well and truly done here. However, we see beyond the horizon the beginnings of light and a new day. This is not a card of death. This is a card of something has finished, and that conclusion has not been an easy or joyful one. There is some clues within the art that Pamela Coleman Smith has so beautifully illustrated here, that however dark and frightening the circumstance may appear, there is the feeling within this body that is lying so flat on the ground that there is still energy flowing, aliveness. And the hand is in what is traditionally, in yogic terms and in Buddhist terms, it's a mudra. And that mudra, in the shape of the fingers, is designating new life, is designating flow, is designating rebirth and reawakening. In the Osho Zen Tarot, we see 3 stages of change. We see the egoistic camel at the bottom of the card, surrounded by clouds. He is believing that he is a mountain, a force to be reckoned with, but in reality, he is somewhat foolish because he is completely living within his own egoistic idea. Out of him comes the lion who finally roars and makes a big show of his independence, his strength, and his power. But that is not the complete story. In order for there to be a true rebirth, the child, the innocence of the sweetness that is not needing to make any kind of gesture regarding I amness, but is simply happy to play his flute and be part of the aliveness and the sharing that is possible when one is not busy with needing to impress others. In the Sacred She Tarot, when I was developing the image for this card, I wanted to pay attention to the fact that for much of us, there is a realization that there are many things occurring in life now, either on a large global scale or within our own life changes, whereby there are periods of time where we feel absolutely unable to deal with the emotions that are surging within. It can be prompted by the loss of a beloved. It can be the loss of any number of things that have occurred, one's home, one's identity, one's place in life. But when grieving is on the cards, it is saying, make space for grieving. Don't try to push it away or bury it. because grieving is an atmosphere that, although we don't seek it out, when it does arise, it is pregnant with possibility for realization. The treasure of what was, the depth of one's feelings, and as one grieves, allow for a place within the grieving to respect it, not as something horrible, but as part of the climate of what our human story is all about. In order for a new realization to occur, however fragile it may be, it can only rise out of our making space for the fog-bound, gray zone of not knowing, not being able to say, I am this, I am that, this is good, this is bad, but being in that complete and utter unclarity and the vulnerability in that space. But giving respect to it, whether it's with a loved one that is grieving or whether it is your own grief, don't push it aside and try to make it be something else. Because out of the acknowledgement of it, out of the letting go into it, there is the potential for new life to arise and a deep and exquisite understanding to surface. These cards are all speaking of rebirth. They're all speaking of a certain hopefulness that it can occur on the other side of the letting go that has got to occur sometimes before change, true change, can happen. We know that it's awaiting in that hand mudra. We know that it's awaiting when we see the child finally arising into the light. And it is very clearly arising here when the tears are allowed to be shed and they can finally water a fragile blossom of understanding. Blessings to all. As we grieve, there is a need to open ourselves, to respect it, to go with it, to move through it, and to know that it is part of the drama of what makes us human.